conference realignment is awful. um, I always hated the line that people, when you'd ask people, do you like the NFL or do you like, again, I'm in Texas. Okay, so Texas is a little different. If you go to like New York and Pennsylvania, if you go to New York or Massachusetts, Maine, New England, maybe the Pacific Northwest, like I get why they would like the NFL more than college. Okay, but if you go to like Michigan, Iowa, Nebraska, again, when we talked at the outset about what makes college football so great, like in these flyover states, like this is all you have. No offense. Like no offense. But this it's like a big deal. Like it's prime time shit is going on in Lincoln, Nebraska. Or Iowa City, Iowa is having like Iowa City, Iowa will have USC at some point come to town. And on the one hand, that would be an argument for why Iowa City like may love this new realignment situation that's going on. But going back to where how I started this, when you would ask people like, do you like NFL or college football? They would say, well, in college they just play for like their school. They're not playing for money. They're not playing for a paycheck. And we know that's changed with NIL. But I always hated that line of reasoning because they're playing for a spot in the draft, and that is money. Like they're playing for a start, like they're playing for the same thing. Like you don't think there are perks that happened like under the table if you were good, if you're the starting quarterback for Auburn, like there wasn't some incentive to produce on Saturday. So I never really liked that line of reasoning. The reason why college football is better is because in Iowa City, this is the only thing going on. In Stillwater, Oklahoma, this is the only thing that's going on. And now, or Pullman, Washington, home of the Washington State Cougars. They're left out. Washington State is left out. They do not have a conference right. Well, they have a conference. It's the Pac-4. And it's kind of like, are they going to play Boise State? I mean, I guess that works. But Washington State was way more fun. USC, Washington State was way more fun. And on the flip side of this coin, it's just like, do you want to see USC Rutgers? Like, who wants to see that game? Like, why? You know what I'm saying? Like, but it's the same reason why USC is like ranked in everyone's top 10 for no reason. It's just a brand. And that's why people initially said they loved college football, because it wasn't about the money. But this realignment is all about money, and it's all about markets and eyeballs and NIL. And that sucks. Like Oklahoma State is about to have its last matchup for God knows when. Like, that sucks. I like playing Kansas State. There's another town right there. What goes on in Manhattan, Kansas? Nothing goes on. Like, it's a train town. I love it. Like, that's the thing. Columbia, Missouri, right? Like, I know they're in the SEC, right? And like the SEC is big time football. But that's because they're a well-run conference. But like these teams that are about to be left out, or these matchups that are about to happen, those used to be also like a savory treat. Like it used to be a treat to see Penn State versus Washington, because that didn't happen every year. in the regular season. But now it's going to happen a lot more. And, you know, the Rose Bowl is the granddaddy of them all. And now what is it? You know? Like, so on the one hand, like I talk to OU fans and like there is some enthusiasm in the fact that like I am going to be excited to play Ole Miss and go to Oxford and for them to come to Norman. Like I'm going to be excited to play Florida and Alabama. But I'm not going to be excited to play Vanderbilt. I guess I want to play Kentucky. You know? Like Auburn's fine, but like what have they done lately? You know? Like I much I would rather play Texas Tech at night. You know? Like that is there's a history there where you would look on the schedule and be like, bro, we're going to Lubbock. Again, what happens in Lubbock? What happens is like big programs lose. Again, going back to Texas, like Texas had to go to Stillwater. Like blue blood, everyone always puts Texas in the top 25 because they're Texas. But Texas had to go to Manhattan, Kansas, and Texas had to go to Waco, and Texas had to go to Lubbock, and Fort Worth, and Stillwater. And now they don't have to do that. And it just kind of sucks. Like this money thing. So, yeah, they'll get to play Texas A&M, but the Texas A&M Texas thing is just another example of like that was a Thanksgiving tradition around here forever. And then it was gone, and the only reason it's coming back is because Texas got jealous of all the money A&M was getting, so they're going to the SEC. I guess it's cool that we'll see TCU versus Arizona State. You know, I guess BYU Oklahoma State is going to be a rivalry. I guess UCF versus Baylor's a thing. You know? Like it really sucks that this is how it ended up, and that we'll eventually probably have like two tiers. 48, you know, you'll have the ACC, Big 12, Big 10, and SEC. I think the ACC is going to survive, I think. And then everybody else, right? So it stinks. The upsets won't be as big because just the brand name type stuff, you know. So it's really disappointing. It's going to be really interesting this year on the OU Texas Farewell Tour when they go to BYU in Cincinnati and they play UCF in Norman. It's going to be interesting to see how the refs call those games. But overall, why do I want to see Oregon playing Maryland in the Big Ten? I want to see Oregon playing Cal. I want to see Oregon playing Oregon State. I want to see West Coast after dark. But they're probably going to put a lot of those West Coast teams that are now in the Big Ten like at 6 o'clock, you know? Again, that sucks. UCLA with Chip Kelly after dark at like 9 o'clock. Halftime at 10:30. That was awesome. And it may not happen again. Sucks.